average kid in a small town in Ohio, working his first job on a farm, earning a couple degrees from Baylor University, pursuing his music hobby, and going through ordinary, average, white guy family stuff. What story could he possibly have to compare with something like John Register's Olympic career-ending injury, or living with cancer, or losing a spouse or child? He recently looked back and discovered maybe he does have a story. He's here to share it and the message that goes along with it. Please welcome Toastmaster Barry.
All right. A horse suddenly came galloping down the road. You would think that the rider was going someplace important, and another man standing beside the road said, "Where are you going?" And the man turned around on the horse and he said, "I don't know, ask the horse." Do we find ourselves galloping down the road of life, not knowing really where we're going, but just being carried along with the horse? It may be that we find ourselves where we don't want to be. Maybe a dark forest, maybe in enemy territory, maybe at the edge of a precipice. My fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, I found myself in a dark place a few years ago. There was a time where I was at the come and go on Academy and Vickers, and I looked down at my $3 pizza and soda combo, and I thought to myself, what is happening here? Why am I stressing about this $3 combo when I make nearly twice the average household income in Colorado Springs? Things had gotten pretty bad at that point. My marriage was on the rocks, and my now ex-wife had refused to go to counseling anymore. And she wasn't talking to me either in our 4,000 square foot house. The company I worked for, somehow I went from the most versatile executive team member to, we're not sure we're going to have a place for you next year. My car threw an engine bearing and was totaled. And I had dropped my cell phone and shattered the screen for the third time in a year. Things were a little late. I was drowning. I was depressed. I felt like I was out of control, and I was stuck. Now, you all might say, that's nothing. You don't even know what being at rock bottom is compared to where I've been. And you know what? You may be right. Your rock bottom may be completely different or worse than mine. In fact, your rock bottom might be worse than mine. A few days ago, something happened at CTI where I work that really shook me. A guy named Jake Crawford had been with the company for about 6 years. 6'2", 6'3", big guy. Very quiet. Kind of a gentle giant. He started as an ink maker in production. Throwing ink over the mill, making the ink, and then he wound up in our QC department, checking out every order, making sure that everything was right. And I walked in the door on June 6th, and I found out that he had taken his own life, 26 years old. You know, when I look at it, I said to myself, his horse went off the cliff. When I was in my deep place, I said to myself, all right, I've just got to figure this stuff out one at a time. Just focus on what I can do next. Kind of like the Dave Ramsey financial approach, get rid of your smallest debt. Well, I was going to get rid of my smallest problem first and work my way up. I got a new cell phone. I got a car. A 1998 Honda Accord, green, you probably remember it, nicknamed El Jalapeno. That was Lydia's idea. I got a new job, a better job, with CTI. And while I couldn't repair my marriage and fix that, I did decide to go to counseling, not for that, but for myself. I went for myself so that I could be the best person that I could be. I wasn't going to worry about other people's behavior. I was going to worry about being the best person that I could be. And my counselor, Margot, was mystified why I hung in and worked on my marriage harder than she had seen anyone else. And I dare say that I may have taught her a couple of lessons about unconditional love. Because I decided to love my enemy rather than try to change my enemy. In those years, I surrounded myself with a team of people, a team of friends and family who would support me and who I could depend on through that rough patch. I remember that I was the captain of my ship. And if it was to be, it was up to me. Because my name isn't Barry McCann. It's Barry. I have all the tools that I need to accomplish whatever I want and to get myself out of any situation with God's help. And so do you. You know, Jake made a permanent decision that probably if he were older and had more perspective, he may not have made. I didn't see what was going on in his life, and I wish I could have said one thing that would have made a difference and maybe led to him making a different decision. You know, where there's life, there's hope. I challenge you to take time to figure out and to look at where you're going. Are you galloping down a road that you don't want to go? Are you unhappy with where you're going? Do you need help, real help, in figuring out how not to get into that bad place? You're on a horse and you're going somewhere. But here's the good news. You're in the saddle, and you've got the reins.